when lives have become edified in a society, you'll find a situation where a man like Gumi, who should ordinarily be considered respectable, even though he's not. If you want to get to know him, the more you know of the man, the more you read of him, the more you listen to him, the quicker you'll find that he's deserving of no respect. Now, I am using what he said to illustrate a point, so I'll quote him. He says, yes, I know they have killed, and it is wrong to kill anybody innocent. Yes, he knows that they have killed, and then he qualified it. And it is wrong to kill anybody innocent. Who determines the innocence of the killed? He went further to explain how logical it is that peace be found with these murderous terrorists, whilst no peace may be found with the separatist agitators. Like I said, IPOB was only the type that he elected to use. I will put all separatist agitators in the same basket, because separatist agitation must not, may not, and should never be equated with the madness of Islamic terrorism and Fulani militancy. So in recent days, as Nigeria had to deal with the reality of the Trumpian mirror, found another English word, Trump held up a mirror for Nigeria. And since he held up this mirror to our country, I have seen a vain attempt at applying makeup to the image in the mirror. Now, that is a very funny metaphor. An image is in the mirror, and then you carry your mascara, your lipstick, and you begin to apply it to the image that is in the mirror that must constantly shift. Now, understand this. That is the nature of the lies that you have to tell against the manifest truth. Trump came out and he said, it was very specific. I actually have it jotted down. He put out 8 things. He says, if the Nigerian government continues to allow, so they were allowing it. Is this a lie? Of course not. I was alive and well, and all of us were hearing. We were here in Nigeria when General T.Y. Danjuma said, they collude. The Nigerian army, they collude. He was the chief of army staff, a general, an eminently qualified member of what was once upon a time the Northern Oligarch, a veritable member of the Senate where they sit down to decide what became of this sorry country. He came out in the public, said, you collude. The army of the Nigerian state, it colludes. If you wait for them to protect you, you will die one by one. That was in Dele Farotimi. That was T.Y. Danjuma. If he doesn't know what he's talking about, he does. He has access to intelligence beyond my imagination. He's been a player. He's not just a player. He's a game maker. He says the army colludes. That is an institution he once led. So what has Trump said? That people are cackling like beheaded chicken up and down the place. The Nigerian government allows it. So that's the first thing that Trump said. The USA will immediately stop all aids and assistance. Think about it. How do I pay a drummer? And the drummer will be playing a beat different from the one that I want to hear. He who pays the piper dictates the tune. Since our rulers have assured that Nigeria remains a beggar nation in spite of its riches, why would they not be told that the hates will be stopped? How does that become the problem of the victims? The AIDS never did anything for us, but has Trump lied? Has he not been giving AIDS? Has the Americans not been giving AIDS to us? We made ourselves beggars. And since when do beggars begin to have the mouth to complain about what those who gives it and in what denomination, or even when they give or do not give? And then he went on to talk about our now disgraced country. Question is this: does it require Trump to point out the obvious to us? What does it take for a country to become disgraced? A country that cannot conduct elections? The very first function of a state is the protection of the lives and properties of the citizens. How well has the Nigerian state protected the lives and properties of the Nigerian citizens? How well? This is a state that has failed woefully. And don't forget, deliberately because it allows it. It allows it. Trump talked about coming gun blazing. He didn't say it was going to come gun blazing for me and you. He said it was going to come gun blazing for the terrorists. If we have a situation where our government has become so manifestly useless and irresponsible that it allows it, how then do you quibble with the person who is threatening to come and do what you have failed to do as your duty? Yeah, you don't want any guns blazing in our country. It's not you. This is not a problem that can be resolved with American gun blazing in our street. But surely we can do with a few help by America in killing off those who have been killing us. So please, these lies about anyway. Question is this: he spoke about Islamic terrorists killing Nigerians, and then the firestorm began, and it is because of the edification of lies in our society. Gumi was quoted as saying very clearly, and I then went online to listen to the video. I watched the video myself. And what Gumi said was very interesting. He was seeking to make a distinction between members of separatist organizations like IPOB. He mentioned IPOB specifically, and the terrorists who are killing Nigerians indiscriminately across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Answering Gumi is not my preoccupation, but I am using Gumi to illustrate a point that must be made. When lies have become edified in a society, you'll find a situation where a man like Gumi, who should ordinarily be considered respectable, even though he is not. If you want to get to know him, the more you know of the man, the more you read of him, the more you listen to him, the quicker you will find that he's deserving of no respect. Now, I am using what he said to illustrate a point, so I'll quote him. He says, yes, I know they have killed, and it is wrong to kill anybody innocent. Yes, he knows that they have killed, and then he qualified it. And it is wrong to kill anybody innocent. Who determines the innocence of the killed? He went further to explain how logical it is that peace be found with these murderous terrorists, whilst no peace may be found with the separatist agitators. Like I said, IPOB was only the type that he elected to use. I will put all separatist agitators in the same basket, because separatist agitation must not, may not, and should never be equated with the madness of Islamic terrorism and Fulani militancy. Never. But these false equivalencies, which are in actual fact lies, have been erected in the Nigerian public space to normalize evil. There is a particularly gruesome reminder of why this should never, and this is not one that is particularly unique because it happens randomly, daily, wantonly, from the excused killing of Deborah in Sokoto, where an entire society, because it takes an entire society to normalize the evil, because there is a spiritual explanation, a theological normalization from the light of Gumi, who believes that these jihadists have the right to kill those who are not innocent. Question is, who determines the innocence? Who determined the guilt of Deborah? Who determined the guilt of the Nigerian army and police officers who were killed summary style in 2018 in Iran, the headquarters of Kalibakwe? 3 UNICEF staff were equally killed execution style, their hands tied behind their back, shot in the head. These are the persons for whom Gumi is finding explanation. They went to Yelawata, over 200 persons. They burnt them in their homes. These are the persons for whom Gumi is offering explanations, seeking to normalize evil. Now, when a society begins the process of edifying lies, the first thing it does is that lies are normalized. Complex social, psychological, and institutional mechanisms that normalize these falsehoods are pushed and weaponized. Lies will be told to you by trusted persons. Persons you expect to say the truth will come out and tell you, oh, there is no genocide in Nigeria. There is no genocide in Nigeria, but people are being murdered in their homes. They are being displaced from their ancestral land, in some cases because of mining interests. In the Plateau, there are documented cases of communities that have been wiped out and then resettled. And you say that's not genocide? Then what is? The extent of the edification of lies that has overtaken us has even led to a point where there is a complete absence of shame in admitting to the lies that have been told, to the ruination of this country. I was watching a piece recently where a former governor, just like a whole lot of them, but this particular one is very recent, was talking about how they weaponized lies to fight Jonathan not to remove subsidy, even though they knew it was the right thing to do. And the same APC has turned full circle to do the same thing that it then said was not the right thing to do. And there are no consequences. And then you look at the persons who stood behind that lie. Look at the lineup at Ojota. Look at the lineup at all the places where an entire, the totality of Nigerian civil organizations killed behind a lie. And that is why today the NLC cannot call a strike. None of the civil rights organizations can credibly come out and demand civil action because of the lies they have told in pursuit of a political agenda. And they come back out. A lie that should be sufficient to destroy the public life of somebody, of a politician. They come out publicly, admit to it, and nothing happens. With institutionalized lies, the Bureau of Statistics will cook figures. Rebase the economy just to make it look good and make the political masters look great. We keep removing and adding zeros, and figures are beginning to lie in our country because we have edified lies. Government institutions are telling lies. Look at INEC. Brazen lies in pursuit of the political purposes of men. You subvert the totality of a country in pursuit of lies. We raise lies to high office. You see men, they will stand behind pulpits telling lies to the people. Brazenly too. No remorse. They get caught in these lies. If they are not drinking tea with God, they are moving from one toilet in the airport of one country to the toilet in another country. You are not receiving miracle alerts. All kind of lies, barefaced lies are edified and raised up. And nobody challenges them anymore. We even have them reduced to skits. And we all laugh over it. And you find these places jam-packed and these persons raised up as models in the society. Our courts, Lord Almighty, one of the commonest maxims that you find bandied around where justice is talked about. So the judiciary is the last refuge of the common man. To say that the Nigerian society is blessed with a judiciary that in any way, shape, or form delivers refuge to the common man, it's a brazen lie. I know this, you know this. Almost every judicial officer with conscience in Nigeria, when they are retiring, in seeking to distance themselves from the madness from which they have retired, they begin to preach against judicial corruption. They begin to preach. I have been involved in a case where a judge actually granted an injunction, interim, not something that was on notice, ex parte. He granted it ex parte, directing police, DSS, civil defense to perform an act where the other party never had an opportunity to even be heard, and has never been given an opportunity to be heard. And this ex parte order is still subsisting more than 8 months after it was granted. That is the country we have built. We've edified lies.